कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधान विलीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैर्कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्तं मम राजऋषयो विदो सकाले नेह माता योगो नष्टकरं तपः परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदीक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनाम् ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनयेव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषाम् अज्ञतेन अन्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः Yes, bro, you have something to say or you want
Yes,
to?
bro. I wanted to ask that
Yeah.
in the sloka recitation exam,
Mm.
do we have to remember the whole sequence also?
Uh,
Because in that same sequence, and
that is better. Uh, yeah, generally that is better. Same sequence is always preferred, recommended.
okay,
Of course, you want there is a option if you want to if somebody wants to tell all shlokas once and then later translations, that is fine. Or of course we will means we can tell the verse numbers. That is okay.
okay. Verse
One
numbers you
who
give by heart or
no no one who means I can tell the verse numbers if needed, but preferably that is also if you can yeah. Means order at least. No need to have verse numbers, but order. Otherwise we can help with the verse number as a
okay,
hint.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, today can someone volunteer to read? Okay, fine. Okay, so can recite after me. सर्वभूत सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजति एकत्वम् अस्थिता
सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजति एकत्वमास्थितः
सर्व सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते.
सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते.
Yeah, so we here we have two verses that are still that are part of the discussion of the characteristics of a perfected yogi. So this is like how he is like completely absorbed in the relationship. Means he doesn't just see Paramatma in himself, but he sees in all the living entities also. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I am the super soul within all creature servant, remain always in me in all circumstances. Okay, you can read the purport.
A yogi who is practicing meditation on the super soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu, with four hands holding conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna, in this form of super soul, is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of the living entities. Should I continue?
Continue, continue.
Nor is there a difference between Krishna conscious person always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in the meditation on the super soul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.187 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikhilashva api avasthasu jivan muktasa uchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. दिक्कालाद्य अनवच्छिन्ने कृष्णचेतो विधाय च तन्मयो भवति क्षिप्रं जीवब्रह्मणि योच्ययेत्. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in the yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart, makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopal Tapni Upanishad 3.2, confirms this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows: Ekopi san bahudayo ava- avabhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra, that is Matsya Puran, it is said, Ek eva paro Vishnu sarva vyapi na samshayah aishwaryad rupam ekam cha suryavat bahudeyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere as the sun appears in many places at once.
So, yeah, what he's seeing super soul in, other living entities also, and he does not discriminate that the super soul who is within his body is different from that from them. So the symptom of the practical symptom of that is not described in the next verse. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yo Arjuna.
आत्मपम्येन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति यो अर्जुन.
Sukham va yadi va dukkam sa yogi paramo mata.
सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः.
He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all living beings in both their happiness and their distress. Oh, Arjuna. So it's the spiritual compassion means is everywhere with everyone. There is no discrimination, no. Only this color, this nation, this race, no. And he's able to see real distress and happiness, and he's ready to go any extent to him. So these are the three symptoms of spiritual compassion. Okay, can yeah, read the purport.
One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God, and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to the forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, it tries to distribute that knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन् मे प्रिय कृतमः. Bhagavad Gita 18.69. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is the contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a yogi who is trying to his best to turn every man toward Krishna
Yeah,
consciousness.
yes. Thank you. So the symptom is he he is the best philanthropist. Means he knows what is the real suffering and real happiness. So then yogi, he sees even a rich man also suffering, not just the poor man suffering. No? Even the rich man is also suffering. The real suffering is the suffering of the heart. So yeah, so as one advances at the level of Nishta and all, there is one of the symptoms of Nishta is Shubhada. Shubhada, one of the aspect of Shubhada, two aspects are Sarva Jagata Preenanam and Sarva Jagata Anurakta. So to, one develops affection for everyone and one develops compassion for everyone. So that happens through spiritual advancement. But at a sadhaka level, we assist in the mission of Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. And we should also desire to develop the compassion as they have. Okay, now this section is over, like the description of the Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. First, the sadhaka process is described, then the symptoms of the perfection is described. Now, Arjuna tells something, comments on this process. Arjuna Vacha,
Arjuna Vacha.
Yo ayam yogastvaya proktas samyena madhusudana
Yoyam yogas tvaya prokta samyena madhusudana.
etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat stitam stiram.
एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम्.
Here the translation. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Yeah, you can read the purport.
The, the system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Suchau Deshe and ending with Yogi Parama, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self realization, even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior, he had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now, yet he refused to accept the system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in the history of his practicing it in any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in the age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 500 years ago, then what of present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal.
People practice, means people don't actually practice it. Yeah, people may practice yoga, but they think they are spiritual, but actually to really become spiritual through this process is very difficult. So one has to renounce and one has to leave family, one has to renounce, and one has to do a lot of austerity, which are difficult things to do. Yeah. Okay, so like Prabhupada told, no, there is a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. So what are that, no, what is that bitter struggle in this current age? So can just think for around 3 minutes, then you can tell something else. We'll discuss. Yes. What is that bitter struggle? Can someone answer?
Can I say, Prabhuji?
Uh, let Shrikant Pro type. Yes, Shrikant Pro.
Uh, yes, Prabhu. Few points. I'm sure many devotees will have many other points
Mm,
about the bitter struggle. Few points specific to this age is that I feel first thing is the internet and mobile. Um, it's like full of distractions are available very easily, and so much of advertisements that are being bombarded upon us that makes our even more difficult to control the mind.
mm,
The patience has reduced a lot, or the attention span has reduced a lot because of everything is available so quickly at the fingertips. Like even you want to order food or anything, just at a
mm,
fingertip, everything is becoming available so easily. So the patience has gone. There's so much of things have become virtual, like virtual reality, artificial intelligence. We are going away from real intelligence. We are going to artificial intelligence. We are going to virtual reality. So we are losing the touch of reality.
mm,
So that is another issue I feel. And there's adulteration in everything, like food or everything we see that's so adulterated, nothing is pure. And last is like this rat race competition is increased so much of rat race for earning more and more. There is fear for security, the life and diseases and all. That fear is also increased.
Yes, nice points. Thank you. Yes, why couldn't you be Hari Pro? You can tell.
Population,
Okay.
population. The root cause of all the suffering is the great population.
Mm-hmm.
Bitter struggle because of population.
Okay. Okay. Yes, nice. Yes, yes, Avtari Chetan Prabhu.
Horrible. Prabhuji, biggest source of biggest bitter struggle is because of ignorance. I mean, we are spiritual beings, but we are constantly identifying with body and matter. For
Mm,
example, if we have lost our keys in our house, but we
mm,
keep looking for them in our office, right? No matter how much we struggle, we are not going to find it. Similarly,
mm,
the source of happiness is spirit,
yeah,
and spiritual engagement, but we are constantly looking for it in matter, and
mm,
that is causing a bitter struggle.
mm.
And many devotees have covered many other reasons, Prabhu: distraction, lack of purity. So,
Yes, yes, yes. Very, very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. That's very important. Okay. Sundari Subhadra Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So foremost point Prabhuji already covered. Then life is short in our age. Because of that, we cannot focus too much on the spiritual. Like mostly this reason is given, and that is happening because of the improper application of the Varnashram system.
Mm,
So that is also leading to the scarcity of the resources. Although the resources are available in abundance, but because of the disturbance in the Varnashram system,
mm,
we are facing these issues.
yes.
And one more point is that Prabhuji, lack of knowledge. Like as Prabhuji already said, that we are functioning more on bodily level rather than on soul level, and this is because of lack of knowledge, and that is happening because of the fake gurus and acharyas who are propagating the bogus knowledge. So this is leading to the loss of faith amongst the young generation, and again this is leading to a lot of problems and issues on mental level.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
one more point, should I?
Uh, yeah, I can tell.
One more point is that this age of Kali Yuga, it is more greed and self-centeredness is there in people.
Mm,
Like again, because they are functioning on body level, so they run after the things, and that leads to greed. And no purity.
mm,
Focus is very less in this generation, in this yuga. People cannot focus too much on positive things like spirituality, and because of that health is also very poor, so they cannot go for the practices like ashtanga yoga or something like,
mm.
because their health is always rotten.
Yeah, yeah. After. Yes, Rahul Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Arrange.
Prabhuji, what we can also like all the points, most of the points has been already covered by Prabhuji and Mataji's. But one of the reason like the why people are struggling right these days are the false ideologies. Like people are following the false ideologies since they get their senses, be it from the school level, sixth standard, seventh standard, eighth standard. So as Prabhuji was saying earlier, we have access to the internet and reels and Facebook and other medias. So since the childhood, parents are very like the elder family members, they are very busy in their since they are considering themselves as a material body. So they are not very much into the concerns like how should they live or guide their like child for the spiritual life. So at that moment of time, which is very crucial for the kids to know about what the real ideologies and principle are, they are getting indulged in this kind of ideologies over the internet and other books that has been written by the like authors of these days. And because of this like all the major problems are coming in. For example, they just say let's just do it, like we have the slogans of the very huge brand like Nike, let's just do it or let's do it. So they are just not letting people to think about anything of the action that they are doing, or just do what they wanted to do. And in this way, they are trying to profit themselves, and people are struggling somewhere in their life. Like there are so many things that comes with this specific thing, and at the end, they end up living a very false life and false ideology, and very unsatisfied, and try to find happiness with various ways, which probably don't give them happiness for a long period of time. So
Yes,
this can be
yes.
one of the bitter struggle of the people at this age.
Thank you. Yes, Yashas Prabhu, want to add something?
Wait, it's not.
Your voice is, yeah,
Yeah, Priji, my voice is clear.
yeah, now it's better.
Yeah, Priji, actually the all Prajis and Matajis cover my all the point, but I have one more point, which is nobody speak. Actually, it's about not any physical problem. It's actually consciousness problem, because externally we say we are completely surrendered to Krishna, but in our heart we doesn't believe that sometimes, because we are getting bewildered at any wrong situation or any problems. So if we are fully surrendered to Krishna, that means the first sign of surrender is Krishna is fearlessness. We have to be fearless at any situation. So yeah, this is my point, Puji, and all points are covered already.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, of course, we cannot expect it from everyone. Thank you. So, told nice points like how, what all things can make practice of yoga difficult in this age. Of course, fearlessness is a gradual thing, not that's not a problem, but that's a reality. Okay. Now Arjuna tells more specifically about what all are the problems with the mind. It's a famous verse. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi balavadrudam
Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavadridam.
yasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram.
Tasyaham nigraham manne vayor eva sudushkaram.
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be the subservient to the intelligence. For a man in a practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium towards both friends and enemies, but ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Kathopanishad 1.3.3 and 4, it is said, Atmanam ratinam viddhi shariram ratam evacha buddhim tu shari sarathim viddhi manah प्रग्रहम् एव च इन्द्रियाणि विषयांस्तेषु गोचरान् आत्मेन्द्रियमनोयुक्तं भुक्तेति आहुर्मनीषिणः. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and the intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to be Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. Here it is said that the mind is controlled by the intelligence. Therefore, it is possible to control the mind by the discriminating intelligence.
Yeah, I think this is our Acharya's commentary. I will read. Yes, so it's difficult to control. Yeah, Prabhupada told about medicine. Like sometimes there are viruses which you can even adopt to the to the vaccines, which are injected to destroy them. So sometimes mind is so powerful that whatever one tries, like we see the case of Ajamil, he tried his best to control his senses through various shastric statements and all, but the mind was so strong that he succumbed to his mind. So that is one of the examples. The mind is controlled by intelligence, therefore it is possible to control the mind by the discriminating intelligence. But Arjuna himself is saying, no, the mind is a harasser, pramati. Harasser means it just don't argue smoothly. He argues very heavily. It harasses even the discriminating intelligence. Why? Because it is strong, balavat. Because there is a strong desire to enjoy. So it can give many justifications. It's like a strong disease that gives no regard to the medicine, which is supposed to elevate the disease. Yeah, that's what. There are some diseases which can even adopt to different medicines which are given to them. Moreover, it is firm and it is drudam and it is stubborn. It is obstinate that anyway, hook or crook, it wants to avoid things. Like iron, it cannot be pierced by the discriminating intelligence. Therefore, I think that the mind is as difficult to control as the wind, even by the process of yoga. It is not possible to hold the wind in one's hand. So please tell me the method for controlling the mind. So mind is sometimes compared to a naughty child. So it's whimsical. It asks for harmful things. And when the parents don't supply, it yells and shouts. Sometimes, like in class or even in the neighborhood also, if once more the kid is very small, but no, once he shouts, then everyone is disturbed, and they don't stop until they get it. So that is like, it's like a naughty child. Okay, I think, yeah, this is proper letter. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance and all humanity. The method prescribed is Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna, only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. Yeah, so this is like a direct Krishna conscious way. But yeah, in the next sloka we'll discuss some more. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam
असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम्
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Gryate.
अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येन च गृह्यते.
Here the translation, O mighty armed, now Krishna is accepting what Arjuna has said. O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in the 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and the foremost of the devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is very powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detachment, by detaching the mind from the activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of the food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from the material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And the eating of foodstuffs offered to the Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Prabhupada explained it from the perspective of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, let us see the meaning of the shloka. So yeah, he told practice means there is some positive engagement and then there is detachment. So with mind, you can do 3 things. One is neglecting it, which means detaching the mind from sensory objects. And second is, so detaching means when there is some temptation and all, ignoring it, uh, or ignoring the even the mind's temptations also, the propositions of the mind. Mind may tell some desires, some propositions, let's do that, let's do. So ignoring those things with the help of with by the discriminating intelligence. So that is negligence. So either stop the inputs even to the mind or you stop responding to the mind. That is neglect. Second is engage. So engaging the mind and not dovetailing it in devotional service or yeah in spiritual things. So mind may have some desires. So mind may say wants to read something. So maybe read some story books related to Krishna. Read Krishna books. So some things like that, or watch some dramas. So that is engaging the mind. Then purify. Purify means engaging the mind in direct devotional activities like chanting. Of course, Prabhupada spoke about hearing also. Hearing is also very important. So these are the 3 things. The first thing is more vairagya, and the second and third are more abhyas. They are abhyas because engaging mind may seem natural, but you have to engage it in a regulated way. Otherwise, if it is out of regulation, then one may get again distracted. So and direct engaging it directly in devotional activities, that is an austerity because one does not have the taste. So that is also again abhyas. So that has to be done. Okay, you can take around 5 minutes and can think of what kind of desires or propositions of mind that have to be neglected for a sadhaka, and what kind of examples of desires of mind which we can engage. Of course, purifying mind is very clear, the 9 process of devotional service. So you can think of these two things, and we'll discuss. Okay, for the first question.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Okay, yes, Prabhu.
We should avoid the pleasures connected with the five senses, Shabda, Rupa, Ras, Gandha, Sparsha.
Mm-hmm.
Because mind is generally interested in enjoying these materialistic pleasures connected with these five senses.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the root cause of all the suffering. That is Maya.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, very idealistic, but yeah, nice point. Okay. Okay.
Thank
Now
you so much, Prabhuji.
we'll see some others. Yes, yes, Raj, Prabhu can take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mm.
So, Prabhuji, just like there's some example of some, I have some example of some desires. For
Mm.
example, if
Mm.
our mind, when we are working on YouTube, if our mind said, okay, let's see some movies or something very any nonsense thing, so we can neglect those desires and we can see the any classes like Radhesham Prabhu's lecture and other ISKCON devotees and Guru Maharaj lecture.
Mm.
Uh, the second thing, if our some friends are planning for some vacations,
Mm.
okay, let's go some vacation and something. So
Mm.
we can avoid the any we can say that any hill station or something. So we can say them, okay, let's go to some pilgrimage.
Mm.
So you can also we can go Vrindavan, Mayapur,
Mm.
Pandharpur, and if somebody ask you, okay, let's go to some place for some recreation. We can say that, okay, let's go to the temple. We will dance. If somebody going to, let's go to a pub for dance. So we can go, no, let's come to a temple. So we can dance. So actually, we cannot completely neglect the desire, but we can
Mm.
modify the desire.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Nice point. Okay. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, the desires that the mind should neglect is that there are the four regulative principles given by Prabhupada. In no circumstance the mind should be allowed to fulfill those kind of desires, which includes meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. Now, in
Mm.
this illicit sex, Prabhuji, I was hearing one lecture. I was hearing that even if you are watching some hero and heroine on the television, you think that you are not associating with any other person. But even if you are watching that hero and heroine apart from your spouse, that also falls in vyabhichar.
Okay.
So that is the level where we have to control the mind, or we have to neglect these things.
Mm.
Whereas apart from that, any kind of desire related to our senses
Mm.
can be diverted to or can be engaged in Lord's service. For example, one is a reader, they can read scriptures. If one is a eater,
Mm.
they loves
Okay,
to cook.
that will come in second question.
That, yes, second only I am seeing.
Acha, okay, fine, fine. Okay, answer, no problem.
I didn't ask for permission.
Okay, okay, no problem.
And if one loves music, so
Yeah.
they can engage themselves in kirtans.
Yeah.
If one is having good leadership skills, they
Mm.
can speak about the glories of Lord by leading the group. And if one has good craftsmanship, like they can make things very
Mm.
nicely and decoratively, then they can use it for decorating the
Mm.
temple and the deities. So apart from these four
Mm.
regulative principles, all the desires that are coming to the mind can be
Mm.
related to the senses, can be engaged in the service of Lord.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Srikant Prabhu.
So I think most of the points are covered. One additional point for me was that
Mm.
showing off your material skills in expecting the appreciation from others is something that the mind goes after.
Mm.
But plan to neglect those kind of desires where
Mm.
we want appreciation or fame kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, I think all, of course, both questions are covered. Uh, who's who is this another devotee? Vivo.
Amrita Mataji.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Mataji, you can answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Actually, I was not able to join from links, so
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, just Prabhuji has told, do not do expectation. We have to neglect our expectation. Whatever expectation is there from our elder or our juniors, and jealousy also we have to neglect. Because of jealousy we have so many desire comes in mind. So we have to neglect those things.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah. So apart from four regulative principles, another things that we need to really try to neglect are the six anarthas. Lust, anger, greed, uh, envy, pride, illusion. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yes, so Shastra says actually both. It doesn't just say one-sided, like no, only neglect the mind. It it says about neglecting the mind, like this verse from Bhagavatam says, no? Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devatatma graha karma kala manah param karanam amananti samsara chakra parivartayetyat. The Brahmana said, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress, neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. Yes, it is correct. But who is speaking? This is being spoken by Avanti Brahman, who is who almost took, who is like at the stage of taking sannyas, who is like fully frustrated with the material life and all. But we need to see for ourselves like whether we are at that level. So definitely we should adopt this when it is needed, especially when it comes with four regulative principles and six anarthas. So those things. But this should be an ideal, but we should not imitate it. We cannot just neglect the mind whole day. It has to be engaged. So that is also being spoken in Bhagavatam. एष वै परमो योगो मनसा सङ्ग्रहः स्मृतः हृदयज्ञात्वम् अन्विच्छन् धाम्यस्य एव उतो मुहुः. An expert horseman desiring to tame a headstrong horse first lets the horse have his way for a moment and then, pulling the reins, gradually places the horse on the desired path. Similarly, the supreme yoga process is that by which one carefully observes the movements and desires of the mind and gradually brings them under full control. So it's gradual, and it doesn't start with full control. It starts first, one is alert, one is observing one's own mind. So what one likes, what one doesn't like, because everyone has a personality. So one has to first understand about oneself. So what are some temptations, what are some weaknesses one has, what are some strengths. So based on that, one has to decide for oneself. It may take some time, it may take over some few years to understand these things. So then based on that, one has to find his own one's own boundaries and regulations, and accordingly slowly proceed. And as one advances in Krishna consciousness, slowly the mind gets purified and one can adopt more detachment. And one important thing is one has to always be alert. One has to introspect and one has to be alert on what mind is desiring and all. So this is again Rishabdev says, Satyam Uttam Kintu Iha Va Eka Na Manaso the Vishrambam Anavastanasya Sata Kirata Iva Sangachanti. Srila Sukadeva Goswami replied, my dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them, for they might run away. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's action. So, always we have to be watchful of the mind's action. So, one of the ways is if someone has that nature of contemplation and all, it is always good. Or by hearing those who speak on this contemplation and all. By reading Shastra also, that habit of contemplation happens. Another way also is to journal. So journaling also can help one in contemplation. So one has to be conscious of their consciousness. Know what is in the consciousness, what are the good things, what are the wrong things, how much it is purely Krishna conscious, how much is indirectly Krishna conscious, how much is against Krishna conscious, and what we can do. So always this introspection has to happen. So then it will be better. And based on that, one has to always accordingly change how much one has to neglect and how much one has to uh, engage the mind. This is also dynamic based on situation, based on different circumstances in life. It may change also. Yeah. So this is the. It's not just one has to one can neglect mind always. Maybe during chanting and all, yeah, it has to be done. But in the normal course of life, one has to also see how to engage the mind. Yeah. So again, Patanjali gives 5 stages of 5 levels of mind based on its purity. So first is Shipta. Shipta means it's very unsatisfied and it is very distracted. It's predominant passion and ignorance, very high predominance of passion and ignorance. So mind, this is based on the lecture by Bhakti Maharaj. He relates this with chanting. So mind derives satisfaction only in change. So always mind wants change. And the gadgets, they facilitate this shipta. These gadgets, modern day gadgets, make the mind more and more shipta. So also called as attention deficit disorder. Yeah. Then there is muda. Muda is mind is satisfied by dullness. So mind wants to sleep more or wants to watch TV, one after another, different videos or whatever. Doesn't want to do any work. Doesn't want to take any pain or austerity. Another the then level is vikshipta. Vikshipta means there is passion, means there is hyper concentration. Like somebody playing a computer game or somebody preparing for some exams. Some are like very passionate people. They can do something for whole day. They may do the same thing, and they want to achieve success. They want to stand first, and like that. So that is vikshipta. Then there is ekagra. Ekagra is goodness. It is favorable for chanting. It is able to concentrate to some extent. So that is ekagra mind. And then there is nirodha. Nirodha is one is absorbed in chanting. So at sadhaka level, if we have at least considerable amount of vikshipta also is fine. Vikshipta and little bit ekagra. So that is fine. So vikshipta part of the mind can be engaged in Krishna service, whatever possible, and ekagra can be used for doing the direct devotional activities, the 9 process. Yeah. The shipta and the muda part of the mind one has to work upon. The muda part of mind doesn't want to get up in the morning, so that things one has to see how one can avoid them or reduce them. Okay. Now again, Arjuna Krishna summarizes this and all this. Okay. Asamya Asamya Asamyat Atmana Yogo Dushprapa iti me mati.
अशम्य तात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मति.
Vashyatmana tu yatata sakyo avaptam upayata.
वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो अवाप्तुम उपायता.
Okay, translation: for whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult one. Unbridled means there is no control on that. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. So there should be striving for controlling mind. Yes, Paul, can read purport.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from the material engagement can hardly achieve success in self realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor, but a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious.
Yeah, yeah, of course, that's what we should not, that's what we should avoid activities which further distract the mind as much as possible, especially unnecessarily spending time on social media. Of course, if you are spending time for some particular learning something, hearing lecture, that is okay. Recreation, recreation one can do, maybe socialize with devotees or do something else instead of spending time on social media. So that one should not. It's like pouring water on the fire. So that those things can be avoided. Of course, but we can also try consciously to have mind control, and mind control also happens naturally through purification. Both. So these are extremes. Like one extreme is leaving the mind freely, doing whatever the mind wants. So that is one extreme. Another is suppressing the mind very tightly. Neglect. No, 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 no. Whole life, is like no, no. We should not do it. We should not do this. We should not do this. So that is another extreme. So balance is controlling the mind and engaging the mind both. That is needed. Okay. So now the discussion on the mind is over. Now Arjuna asks another very important question. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Vacha
Ayati Shraddhayopeto Yoga Chalita Manasa
Ayati Shraddhayo Peto Yoga Chalati Manasa
Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati.
Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kamgatim Krishna Gacchati.
Ayati Shraddha means very insufficient faith or no very less little faith. Yoga Chalita Manasa. If someone is practicing yoga and because of very weak faith, if he gets distracted from that path, diverted from that, deviated from that path, then he will not attain success in yoga path. So then what will happen to him? Yeah, this is a common question. Like everything, like Arjuna said, oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Yeah. Like someone who is smart, like this is obviously they will always think, like if they want to try something new, they always see, okay, what if we fail in that? What are the possibilities and is it worthwhile if we fail and so they always check all these things, strengths and weaknesses. Yes, you can read the purport.
The path of self realization or mysticism is described in the Bhagavad Gita. The basic principle of self realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but that he is different from it, and that his happiness is in eternal life. Sorry, his happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. These are transcendental beyond both body and mind. Self realization is sought by the path of knowledge, by the practice of eightfold system, or by Bhakti Yoga. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of the living entity, his relationship with the God, and the activities whereby he can re establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme God, supreme goal sooner or later. This was asserted by Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Neha Bikramanashosti. Out of these three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it is the most direct method of God realization. To be doubly assured, Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement. One may sincerely accept the path of self realization, but the process of cultivation of knowledge and the practice of Eightfold Yoga systems are generally very difficult for this age. Therefore, despite constant endeavor following the process to pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare the war on the illusory energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of illusory energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. A conditioned soul is already allured by the material energy, and there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental disciplines. This is called Yoga Chalita Manasa, the deviation from the transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the results of deviation from the path of self realization.
Hmm. Okay. Maybe we can discuss one thing. Okay. So, okay, you can take around maybe 5 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. You can think about this question, then we'll discuss. You can even tell your modern examples also, means contemporary examples of your friends, devotee friends, or no, whom you are preaching. That also you can tell.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम.
Mm, yes, Yashas Prabhu can tell.
Hare
If
Krishna
you're
Prabhuji.
yeah, just a minute. If you're telling Shastric examples, you can take name. Otherwise, don't take any name. Okay.
No, Prabhuji, actually, I'm taking not any Shastrical example.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very practical example. What you see, in the case of a new devotee, if his old philosophy is not matched with the devotional philosophy, for example, somebody is from the Advait background. So from the childhood, he hear about the Advaita and Shankara philosophy. So if we heard about the devotion service, sometimes he is not comfortable with it and he leaves the devotional path. Second thing, if some devotee, it's a fault of any kind of devotee, give some extra, we can say, extra deep knowledge, which is not he is not capable to understand. Okay, so sometimes in the case of the demigod worship, if somebody is very new and he doesn't understand why we are opposing some demigod worship and all this thing, so he think that okay, so why are they doing this? They're just saying okay, we just worship the Krishna because it's not a proper philosophical understanding. So in this case, he may leave. Third, in for the new devotee, if he saw some quarrel between the devotees, they said, okay, these are the devotees, and they are also quarreling. So why I'm expecting to the others, so that I am the better than them. So he leaves. And in the case of the old devotees, the one thing is that sometimes we are very used to the process and we forgot what is our real goal. So in some cases, if we are, if one devotee, actually our main goal is to serve Krishna, not to please anyone. Serve Krishna and Guru. So sometimes if we have some, we can say misunderstanding with some devotees, so it become quarrel, and after some time, one who is very emotional or some very less intelligent in the philosophy, he leaves after even if he has spent so many years.
Okay, yes,
Uh,
nice
yeah,
points.
Pradeep, one more example.
Let's
Yeah.
hear from others. And
Okay,
if you
please.
still want to add, we'll see. Okay. Yes, Shrikant Prabhu.
One is that not able to follow the principles and struggling with their senses. For example, like office, one friend was there, not take the name, but could not leave smoking. So mentioned, I didn't even know he was going to Krishna conscious classes first. He said, no, I was going to ISKCON. And what happened is attending classes more and more, I started feeling more and more guilty. That, what I'm doing is not correct. And also instead of leaving smoking, he left Krishna consciousness just to get the relief. So that was one example. Then other is lot of people, if they lose association of devotees, like in college they were practicing, but when they got a job somewhere else, they were not in touch with the devotees, so they got very busy with their job and then got married or family, and they eventually left Krishna consciousness. Other is that someone who has come to Krishna consciousness because of a particular devotee, and his relationship with that devotee becomes strained, then he lives Krishna consciousness also. Is another thing. And one more was, yeah, I think Prabhuji already covered that about previous thing, right? If someone is Jain and he heard in one of the classes Jain is actually atheism and got hurt and then could
Okay.
not understand that
Yes, yes, yes.
correctly.
Okay, thank you. Nice points. Yes, Amrita Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, sometimes devotee needs love and care. Instead of care, sometimes senior devotee talk them to just depend on Krishna or just leave the studies. That is not required in bhakti. They get hurt. Previous, I was staying in Jamnagar. So here, there are so many devotees are left. Initial devotees are left. So those reasons are there. For initial stage, we have to give some love and care for them. Don't instruct them to depend on Krishna because they are not on that stage.
Okay, yeah. Okay, okay. Thank you. Yes, Sharad Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, in initial stage, uh, one may, due to immaturity, one may give up or don't give proper justice to the material responsibilities. Like in student life, one may not study properly in the name of Krishna consciousness, or if one is working, then not working properly and doing proper job at office. So, when results come, like one may fail in exam or one may in worst case laid out from the job, so in that case one starts, due to immaturity, starts questioning the process itself, though the fault was in them, but they start questioning in the process, and they may leave Krishna consciousness due
Yes,
to that.
yes, yes. Okay, okay. Yes.
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Yes, 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 Prabhu. You can tell.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes.
When the false ego is very badly hurt by any devotee,
Mm,
like he gets very badly hurt,
mm.
then he may leave the Krishna consciousness.
Okay, okay, okay. Fine.
That is I have observed
Okay. Yes,
number
yes,
of times.
yes, yes. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So most of the points are covered, like poor endeavor. Like if the devotee himself or herself is not putting that effort, definitely they are going to leave. Then second is attraction towards the material enjoyment. That will obviously keep them at a bay. Then third is distraction of mind. Prabhuji already covered that. Then next is the habit of delaying. Like they will probably not come for the regular classes, but maybe interested in festivals only. So that again comes in sense gratification. And next is example, Prabhuji, I will give. There was one Mataji who nicely went to one counselor, and she expressed her issues and all those things. And probably she committed some offense. She was at a very good level. She was having this understanding that if we commit some offense against the seniors, we should ask sorry to them. So her I think her honesty, or I don't know, innocence, what to say. So she went and she just asked, like, I have done this thing, and in mind I have done this thing, but I feel sorry for that. So that time that counselor very nicely, they gave her this thing that no, no, very good, this is how Krishna consciousness should be practiced and all. But in the next session, that person, that Mataji didn't came, and that counselor gave her example, saying that these kind of fake people are there. So without taking her name, but the entire situation was elaborated. Now what happened is, she was not there for the class, but when she heard that recording, she understood that she was feeling like a fool. And she expressed this, and she said, like, no, I don't want to get myself fooled more. So this was something which I also did, like, because being a counselor, we expect some secrecy also. So that is somewhere, if it is broken, which comes in poor examples of devotees. So if the senior devotees behave in a wrong way, then the wrong message goes to the juniors, and
Okay,
they probably leave.
okay, fine, fine.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yes, Rahul Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Vajitan Pranam.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, there was one of the workshop that I have attended from Mahatma Das Prabhu. So in that workshop, he was also saying that sometimes it can be that the devotee is very dedicated, he is understanding the principles, but before he enter into the devotional path, there can be his some like childhood trauma or something in the past that he has not shared with the devotees or devotee friend. So whenever a devotee just joins in, we should also try to know and understand like from where he or she is coming from. And then in that way we can, like, when we understand that person, and then at the same time we give the devotional uh like information and knowledges, So we can understand the reaction behind the devotee. And in future, if sometimes he is suffering from his past actions or like what he has done in the past, he can just come up and speak to someone rather than just, going into guilt or uh, misunderstanding the things or facing any bhakti reversal in his life
Yes,
due to
yes.
any material problem.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Can I add something, Prabhuji?
Okay, add. No problem.
Huh. Many times the behavior of a counselor
Mm,
and the situation of the counselor,
mm,
it is not taken in the right manner. That philosophical point, the devotees are not aware of it.
mm. Okay. Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, Yashras Bro, want to add
So
last
they
thing?
took it in and they changed the counselor, or they,
Yes, yes.
sorry,
Yes, yes,
Yashas
yes.
Prabhu
Please
has already
continue.
added. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay. Yes, yes. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, Yashras Bro wants to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, yeah, so one more point for in the case of a senior. So, it's a temple politics.
Mhm,
So, it's very actually very vast topic. So, sometime, as I told that, so our main goal is to serve Krishna and Guru. But because of some, actually everybody is not a pure devotee. So sometimes it's we see that okay, this devotee is doing this and is working against me. So sometimes it's hurt a person who has very soft feelings.
Yeah.
So he saw that okay, so it's hurting and it's painful. I didn't expect the devotees. So actually, I heard some days before because some incident happened in
Yeah, yeah.
some place. So I heard one lecture. So the Prabhuji said, okay, politics is everywhere, but we have to focus on our goal.
Yeah,
So if we thought, okay, so we leave the ISKCON and we go any other ashram or we go any sampradaya. So everybody, everywhere is the politics. So where will you go?
Okay, okay.
So
Yes, yes.
yeah, and one more thing, Prabhuji, it's
Mm,
apart from this topic. Uh, uh, yeah, so sometimes curiosity.
mhm,
So if we try, so because it sees that some devotee have curiosity to understand other philosophy, like Mayavadi philosophy.
mhm,
Because I heard in a lecture there is one devotee in Gujarat, so
mm,
he wants to understand the Mayavadi philosophy.
mhm,
So he read the Shankara philosophy and Shankaracharya commentary, and
mm,
after some time he disconnected with the devotee and he left the ISKCON and he joined the Advait Sampradaya.
mm,
So one project experience, shared his experience. So he said he was my god brother, and
mm,
he read the Mayavadi philosophy at that time. And we also sometimes devotee also said that okay, don't read, but he didn't listen. So we have to listen our senior. If we are
okay.
not kept under, if we are not fixed in our philosophy, if we understand, okay, let's see what is Sadhguru saying and all these things. And one more point is there for the new case, if devotee is criticizing too much in the front of a new devotee, so it
Mm,
also create the bad impression.
yes,
He's
yes.
they are the fault finders. He saw.
Mm, okay, yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Many points. Because this is not the direct topic, but these are helpful in general. But yeah, the conclusion is there are many possibilities of one leaving the path in between. So that is the conclusion. Okay, means that is there are many chances one may stop practicing Krishna devotional service. That is the conclusion. Okay. So that's why this knowledge is important. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mata, you want to add something?
Prabhuji, I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, not to name anybody, but we often see these kind of things.
Sorry, Mata,
And
your volume is not clear.
am I audible now, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. So sometimes we see these kind of things, and it actually affects us. Like we are
Mm-hmm.
not on that level to take all the things as it is. But when we get affected, sometimes we also think that
Mm-hmm.
you know we should now reduce this thing and all. But then again, somehow the devotees, they will pull us, and we
Yeah,
go there.
yeah.
So how to see this situation if actually we are in that particular time and nobody is going to help us, like no devotee understands what we are going through, and when we cannot express it also, considering it as a nama, Vaishnava Prad. So at that time, how to deal with it
No, you're
on our
saying,
personal level?
yeah, yeah. Your question is if you see some devotee having difficulties or no leaving Krishna consciousness,
Yeah. Even
so
we, Prabhuji, it's not about others,
even
helping
you also
ourselves.
having
Yeah.
some difficulties.
Helping ourselves. Like if we
Okay.
feel things
Mm,
like that, we go
mm,
through it. And
okay.
we are at a stage where if we are speaking about it, it will be considered into Vaishnava Aparadh.
Okay,
So
okay.
at the time, how to deal with it?
Yeah,
Because
like
sometimes, as Mataji also said, that when we go to counselor also, they'll
mm,
say leave everything on Krishna, look like that, but there is no acknowledgement of the thing, and then ultimately we lead our mind to frustrate.
okay, okay.
How
Yeah.
to deal with it on our own level?
Yes,
That
yes,
is
yes.
my question.
Yeah, one thing is to understand the philosophy properly. So that is called as Shastriya Shraddha. Hopefully, it may be discussed, maybe touched upon in NOD. So to understand the philosophy properly, especially if you read books like Madhurya Kadambini and books and Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani is a very nice book. So to understand the philosophy properly, so that it will help us to understand okay where we are and how we can proceed. So that is one thing. So then if you read Madhurya Kadamni, you will understand, okay, at different stages, there are different challenges. So if one is going through, if one is leaving the path because of some particular challenge, okay, you can understand, okay, this is what it has happened. This is what it is like that. So, so one is Shastric knowledge can help in making sense of the challenges we have and the challenges which others also facing. That is one thing. So regularly reading Shastra or possible hear some devotees who give good classes based on Shastra can help. So being in touch with Shastra and hearing regularly also from some advanced devotees, so can keep us inspired. And yes, if we have some challenges, some unique challenges or something, we can try approaching different devotees. That's what if you're approaching your counselor and it did not work, then yeah, no, we are not at the level of depending on Krishna. So we can approach some other devotees, especially if you know somebody who's specialized in that kind of situations. Maybe it could be financial, could be emotional. Now emotional help, there are different forums also like Karuna Care, like that. So you can see if you're going through some particular trauma because of some situation. So there are now more resources like Karuna Care and all. They can help. Okay, does it help?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Just
thank
the
you.
topic came, that's why. Otherwise,
Yeah,
we often
yeah.
don't
Okay.
speak on this topic.
Yes, yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
thank you. Okay, we'll proceed now. Okay. Now Arjuna is explaining the situation with an analogy. Kachin nobayo vibrastas chinnabram iva nashyati.
कचिन्नोभय विप्रस्तश्चिन्नभ्रम इव नश्यति
Apratisto mahabaho vimudo brahmanapati.
अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढ़ो ब्रह्मणः पति.
Yeah, Brahmanapati means the path to Brahman. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a ribbon cloud with no position in any sphere? Yes, you can read the purport.
There are two ways to progress. Those who are materialists have no interest in transcendence, therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development or in promotion to the higher planets by appropriate work. When one takes to the path of when one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so-called material happiness. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, then he apparently loses both the ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position. He is like a riven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it cannot join a big one, then it is blown away by the wind
So, mm,
and becomes a non-entity in the vast sky. The Brahmanapati is the path of the transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be spiritual in essence, part and parcel of Supreme Lord, who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Lord Shri Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and therefore one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. To reach this goal of life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births. Bahunam Janmanamante, Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness, the direct method.
mm. Okay, so the analogy, hope it is clear that there are two small clouds, and if one of the cloud wants to mm, join a bigger group of clouds, it is called as cloud bank technically. So then the cloud may go towards that, but if it is no, if the wind is strong and against the cloud, so then the cloud may get destroyed in the middle. So it neither, so then it gets destroyed, and so that way, if someone who has taken to the spiritual path, but if in the middle he is obstructed by because of some reason, so then he neither gets spiritual success nor he has, if he has left his material duties and taken to spiritual path, then has not fulfilled his material duties also, so he's not going to have any material success or happiness also. So then what will happen to them? So that is the question. So like the jiva has two paths, either sakama karma, so you follow the varnashrama system or you follow the yoga system. While performing yoga also, somebody may do varnashrama, but they will not do it properly. They may not be able to do fully justice to it. That is a fact. So if they do proper justice to sakama karma, they focus on that, they will get material enjoyment. But if yoga path, then they will get liberation if they are successful. Otherwise what? Hmm? Then if they fail because of, if they may be distracted in the middle, or they may not be able to complete it. So then what is the thing? So that is the question of Arjuna. So you have discussed like there may be many reasons at a practical level. So so and Arjuna is now again saying, Krishna, you must answer, only you can answer this question. एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेत्तुमर्हसि अशेषता
एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुमर्हसि अशेषतः
त्वद् अनन्य संशयस्य चेतना हि उपपद्यते.
त्वदन्यसंशयस्यास्य चेता न ह्युपपद्यते.
This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Yes, you can read the purport.
Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past, they exist now in the present, and they'll continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from the material entanglement. So he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. No one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly so called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of the material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts because he knows the past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what.
Yeah. So Krishna not just knows past, present, future of himself, but for of everyone. So he can, because he knows who are all successful in this path, who are all not successful in this path, and what happens to them. So Krishna is the best personality to answer this question. श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
पार्थनैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते
पार्थनैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते
न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति.
न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति.
Yeah. So Krishna is giving the assurance. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pruta, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Yeah, so Tata here means affectionate. It's an affectionate saying. It indicates affection. Okay, you can read the purport.
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्भजन् अपक्वोऽथ पतेत् ततो यदि यत्र क्व वा भद्रमभूत् अमुष्य किं को वार्थ आप्तो अभजतां स्वधर्मतः. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non devotee may fully engage in the occupational duties and yet not gain anything, no
Yeah.
spiritual or eternal benefit. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But one, but if one does not attain such a perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need be there need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reactions for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one so engaged will continue to be so even if he is low born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. The
Yeah.
purport may. Yes,
Just a moment. So yeah, so this verse says that there is no eternal benefit for one who is materially successful. Because the material success, even if one attains heaven, then again Shine Punya Bhaktiloka Vishanti. So again, he will again come to the same thing. But one who is following a spiritual path, so the spiritual progress, whatever he has done, will remain eternally. So that is the benefit. So that will never get lost. So that is one point which Krishna is emphasizing. Oh, okay, you can continue the purport. You have
uh,
some question?
yes, Prabhu. Like this is very assuring because
Mm,
personally I used to feel that our parents and everyone they tell a lot of religious things that we need to do, that we need to follow, but many times we cannot give that priority because we give priority to Krishna conscious activities, and then we feel that, oh, if I'm not following Krishna consciousness very properly and I'm not neither listening to my parents, right, then
mm,
uh, that situation is, but a very nice answer in this perspective.
mm.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
Prabhu.
Continue.
The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful
Purport.
transcendentalist.
Next paragraph.
Yeah, the purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratifications without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified among the regulated section. The non regulated section, both civilized and non civilized, educated and non educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, they perpetually remain in the material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, Those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely, the followers of the scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence, and those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures for material happiness may be further divided into two classes, those who are fruity workers and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after fruitive results for sense gratification may be elevated to higher standard of life, even to the higher planets. But still, because they are not free from the material existence, they are not following the truly the auspicious path. The only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious.
Yeah,
Activity in Krishna.
this is enough other part. Yeah. Yeah, so basically Prabhupada is saying the one is the animal life, just based on eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and another is the path of yoga. In the path of yoga, there is karma yoga, jnana yoga, and uh, bhakti yoga. In karma yoga, there is sakama karma and nishkama karma. We have studied all this, all previous chapters, and so that is what Prabhupada is saying. So then he's saying this yoga path is the auspicious one because the progress will be eternal. Okay. Now we'll discuss the next two shlokas and then remaining things we'll discuss tomorrow. So Krishna tells about two categories of spiritualists. So this applies actually to all yogas. It's not just applies to only bhakti yoga. It applies to all yogas. Nishkam karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. Yeah. So the first case is one who has made very little advancement. Means he got distracted in the middle. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashwati sama
प्राप्य पुण्य कृताम लोकान उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः
रुचीनाम श्रीमताम गेहे योग भ्रष्टो विजायते.
सूचिनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते.
Here's the translation. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. You can read purport.
The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets, where the pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana Vaishnava or aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunity to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, so if one is distracted, basically it means he gets into either pious life or something because of material desires. If one gets distracted, so then he will perform some no he will basically get down to sakama karma. So because of that, he will go to heaven, and after that again to continue whatever he was previously practicing, so that he will get facility. Either he is born in a Suchinam or Srimatam. Suchinam refers to Brahmanas and Srimatam are Vaishyas or rich people. So that he will have ample time. If he is born in a rich family, then he has ample time to practice. He is not bothered by the troubles of earning money and all these things. So he can focus on spiritual advancement. And because artha is needed even to practice dharma and eventually moksha. If artha is not there, then it becomes difficult for a conditioned living entity. So, or brahmana means it is more, one is cultured, trained in all those things, so he can further continue. Yeah. Okay. Now, second case is one who has made a lot of advancement. Basically, he could not complete the path in his life. Atva yogi nam eva kule bhavati dhimatam.
अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम्
एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यद् ईदृशम्.
एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्.
The translation. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. Yeah, you can read the purport.
Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives the spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to the insufficient education and training.
So nowadays
Rituals.
they follow the rituals and all, like temples and all, they manage temples and all. But yeah, the spirit and the education, that is not there. Yes, we'll continue.
By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalist generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord. And both of us were trained in devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system.
Yeah, so the transcendental system Prabhupada will explain further. Yeah, this birth is very rare. Means this doesn't happen so often. Means those who really progress and progress so much in the spiritual path, that itself is rare. So that's why such births are also rare. That one. Okay, so yeah, some more points we have to discuss that we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, any questions on what we discussed till now? Yes, Shrikant. Bro.
Prabhuji, not on what we discussed, but like you're sharing the same document that is in the drive, Prabhuji, because we find some script related issues where I'm not able to see the Sanskrit properly. Maybe some font or
This
script is
link,
missing.
this link I shared with you, or
No, I think in the
actually,
group description there is one link to the Google Drive.
yeah,
There I saw there are documents for chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, but
yeah. If you can download, I think that issue will not come. If you try to see it in Google,
No, Prabhu, it's not happening.
why
I
not?
tried it. I'm not able to download also. I mean, after downloading also, that script is like that only. And some files are not even opening.
Okay, no, if you want only this document, I can send. I can send all. Maybe tomorrow I'll send all. If you want, you can use it for your reference.
yes, Prabhu. That will be helpful. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, bro.
Prabhuji, there was one statement during this couple of before a couple of shlokas, like one who gives up all material perspectives and surrenders to the Lord, then he is not loser in any of the cases. Can you elaborate on this?
He's not loser. Where it is
In
there.
any of the cases.
Like Bhagavatam Shloka.
Yeah, see, generally how it is helped. I think I have to see that. Let me just check here. It's not there, loser word. Okay, let me check here.
I think few verses above it was there.
Yeah, a couple of verses above, I think.
It's there. He's still not a loser, is there? It's not like he
Means from the material perspective point of view, if he gives
even
up everything and then surrenders to Krishna, then he's not loser from any point of
yeah, because Prabhupada is saying because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten.
view. Okay.
Materially, he will lose that depends again. See, if one is practicing pure devotional service, so then definitely those no debts are no solved, means no, they are nullified, means they are not taken into account. But if one is, let's say, is not always practicing pure devotional service or something, then yeah, one may have some reactions.
And one more question, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
If someone has done some mistake
Hmm.
in the beginning of the Krishna consciousness
Hmm.
and tried forcibly to control the mind,
Hmm.
and then later on, gradually, as the Krishna consciousness is disclosed to him,
Hmm.
and but he has to go through the many miseries in the Krishna consciousness.
No. So your question is he committed some mistake and he forcibly tried
Tried to control the mind.
Hmm. And then later why he's getting so many difficulties?
Forcibly means, I would say,
Hmm.
without knowing the consequences,
Hmm.
and then there were some setbacks
Hmm.
with the person,
Okay.
and then that becomes the base for him to come closer to Krishna.
That becomes the base. See, that's what actually the goal in Krishna consciousness, it has to be clear, no? So the goal has to be, Krishna Prem. That's what you will study this in NOD. What is pure devotional service and all that. So that has to, so that's what that becomes like a more like a mixed devotional service. If one is only wants to control mind and for that he's practicing devotional service or so for that or
No, that was
because of struggle with
sorry.
mind he's practicing, because of that he's practicing Krishna consciousness, then that is not proper devotional service.
No, but later on, as Krishna revealed to him
Mm.
miraculously in many situations, as reciprocations and everything,
Mm.
then he developed the love for Krishna. And practicing Krishna consciousness not for controlling the mind, but for loving Krishna, serving Krishna, and his devotee.
Yeah, so what is the question then?
Anyway, Prabhuji.
Mm. So that's
Thank
what.
you so much.
Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad
Jai.
Gita. Thank you.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare
Grateful,
Krishna.
grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Roji. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandan pranams.